talked about that. No, I can't find it. Well, there's a someplace in here in this particular chapter. There's something about these various words that we oftentimes use to stand for certain things. I'm just trying to find this now. But I would argue that there is something sexual, can you even see me, about the word stamina. In lots of ways, and it does talk about this. It's not just, well, it is in part about what is strong and what is weak, male strong, female weak. But there's something also, I think, implicit in the idea of stamina that means, you know, sexually, I don't know, stamina. God, where is it? It's bugging me. But in any case, oh, here it is. La 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 la. No, I mean, like, where's the penetrate, Ruth? Where is it? Yeah, I can't find it. Well, in any case, I do think there's something really interesting about the idea of stamina. I'll let you read that, but I think it's bigger than, I mean, Kelly Dittmar, a scholar with Center for American Women in Politics, accurately predicted that Donald Trump might bring up the issue of Hillary Clinton's stamina and strength. Dittmar describes this type of attack as a coded way of highlighting gender. There's a perception of feminine vulnerability, a weakness that he cues, says Dittmar. He's the strongest, toughest, most manliest candidate, and she is the opposite. Of course, Clinton had a comeback. But I think even that doesn't dig as deep. I think stamina says something and implicit sexually there. And I think Hahn would probably agree. The smile talks about how Clinton smiled a lot because she's been criticizing for not smiling. And so this Leonie Huddy, professor of political science at Stony Brook, said Trump doesn't smile a great deal in these debates, and he can get away with it because he's a guy. A woman can't. And so there's a lot of things in here about smiling. And so those are the four things that this particular article from the BBC highlighted about the gendered aspects of the debate Monday night. Interruptions, the naming, power play, stamina, and smiling. And then we have yet another article on the first presidential debate. This is from Forbes. And so, continue in 2. 1. Yes, I'm continuing to the article. 6 ways the presidential debate was a microcosm of gender issues in the workplace. Women are interrupted a lot. Yeah. So it talks about that. Basketball as Anton Miller is getting ready to sign a $1 billion contract with a Women talk to establish connection, straight from Deb Tannen. Men to achieve status. Wrong, interrupted Clinton. Wrong, 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 wrong. And so I'll let you read the stuff from Deb Tannen. And this is, this is why, moreover, Clinton felt compelled to mention her grandchildren in her opening statement. She needs to establish a connection with the audience, and do this, she needs to exude some personal warmth because she's a woman. Okay. 3, women need and men need to be strong, but women need to be nice too. It is a big day for basketball. It is a big day for basketball. Hey, Jimmy, hey, Jimmy, hey, Jimmy. It's really interesting. I mean, Clinton, always is criticized, and so women have that. They got to be tough and nice. I'll let you read that. Women need to say it with a smile. La la la. Even Fox News, well, go figure, not even. Britt Hume described Clinton's appearance during the event as composed, smug sometimes, not necessarily attractive. Perhaps he would have preferred she giggled. Women must watch their voices. So what the article says, researchers have found that Clinton's voice is average in pitch and roundness and loudness for a woman her age. Is average. Female leaders everywhere face the choice of remaining calm and not raising their voices or being perceived as shrill. You can't raise your voice if you're a woman because then you're shrill. If you're a man, you're manly. Women face a double bind, right? Women have to be tough and strong to be seen as competent, yet they must be warm and likable as well. Again, talking about kids, which Michelle Obama also did. So, lots of stuff there. And yet one more thing about the debate. No, I don't want to do... Okay. Last night's U.S. presidential debate, can you see this? Will be shown in gender studies classes for years to come. Yeah, because it was really interesting. And about gender and this whole campaign. But I'll let you read that. The long and the short of it is, when it comes to this particular chapter, and there's so much stuff about violence and how our language and our society and our political culture, influences war and violence and then the rape culture. But it's one thing, the big important thing to think about, and then I'll come back and talk a little bit more about the other chapter, is that, well, I like this. It's in his conclusion. Last paragraph in the chapter. As I was finishing this chapter, a colleague asked me whether I had a piece of research I could present to a faculty research seminar he was organizing. I replied I'd be happy to come talk about the sexual language of politics. He looked a little startled, and then asked, wouldn't that be a little esoteric for our group? I'm sure that is the response at least some of my readers must have had when they first arrived at this material. If any are still of that opinion, the best I can tell you is that what I respond to my colleague. The sexual language of politics can be considered esoteric only if you consider the heart and soul of politics to be esoteric. This is, esoteric. This is so central to our understanding of politics, of political communication, of our gendered culture, of our existence in Western civilization. And so it's really important to understand what's going on here and to be very critical of sexism within the media coverage of this campaign, within your own thinking about the candidates. If you say this or that about either Trump or Clinton, is that coming from sort of a sexist way of looking at the world, or a binary way of looking at the world? We have been engendered, we have been conditioned to think certain things when it comes to men and women, when it comes to masculinity and femininity. Are we victims of that that sort of problematic thinking, if it is problematic, from an oppressive point of view, or are we going to be more open and struggle against that binary? What to do? But in any case, if you were to use this particular lens for your paper, again, as I said last night, there are things all over the place in this election and previous elections where you can sort of take a feminist or a gendered point of view, or a point of view that seeks to critique gender, to look at how gender is constituted through political discourse, and it's very, very important. I'm going to leave it at that, and then I'll come back at some point with more stuff about the inauguration and everything like that, and the marriage chapter, or the marriage metaphor. We're marrying the president. So I'll be back. But I cannot stress enough that the chapter 8 on sexual language and politics is unbelievably important. It's always important, but I think it is super duper. It's so very, very huge